Welcome back. We're talking with Mayor Ashley Swearengin and Jim Bourne and Bill McCune of the Fresno Bee. I'd like to turn our attention to downtown revitalization. Folks have been talking a lot about downtown revitalization for the last 40 years, but the results have been decidedly mixed. You now have a new plan in the works. How is your plan going to work when others have failed?
Well, our approach addresses the root problems that have created blight and urban decay in the city of Fresno, and that, frankly, is our land use laws and our regulations, what we allow in terms of private investment in the downtown area and the urban core.
Can you give me one example?
You bet. For example, we've taken suburban development patterns, property setback lines, things like that, and said whatever works in a suburban neighborhood should also be applied in the downtown area. And that's what the law says right now. However, we all know in an urban area you have a very different pattern of development, a different style, property lines, traffic patterns, all of that sort of thing. And our current code does not allow for the differences between the suburban setting and the urban setting. So if you want an investor to come in, for example, in downtown Fresno and create a great mixed-use building that's exactly what we all enjoy in many other cities, we're going to ask that developer to spend $250,000 and up to 18 months of processing time just to get permission to build what he or she wants to build because of all the changes in variances that developer would require. So our plan actually addresses the underlying laws that govern how and what we allow to be built and to be refurbished. We're going to take that expense from $250,000 down to $38,000, an 85% reduction, and the wait times from 18 months down to 2 months. In other words, we're getting the government regulation out of the way.
Those are the targets.
That's what we anticipate once the specific plan and the community plan are adopted into law to make it easy to direct private investment where we want it and how we want it. We want downtown Fresno and the neighborhoods that surround that area to be the easiest place in all of Central California to invest. We want to invite the private sector back in.
All right, Bill?
Well, I think a lot of people want to know how soon the Metropolitan Museum will have tenants and what kind of tenants will they be, and then also is the idea of that area as a cultural arts district, is that going to be replaced with the new idea?
Well, to your second question, no. Our vision for that area is still to pursue the cultural arts district. The tenants that we have that are looking at the Met building are very much in keeping with the cultural arts theme, so I think it's going to be a real smooth transition from the Met use to the new uses. We need to get new markets tax credits in place in the next couple of months. I believe we've got items going before council within that time frame in order to get new tenants in so we can secure those tax credits. So it's actually, as unfortunate as it is to see the Met shuttered for a time. Hopefully there'll be a point in the future where they're able to resurrect. I think the building itself and the block will actually come back quite nicely, and we'll see a real strong anchor to the cultural arts district.
Now, are there going to be any charter schools there? Or?
I know there are a couple of charter schools that are interested. One in particular is likely a very good fit, and there are several other tenants that are all consistent with cultural arts, video production, sort of the spectrum of arts uses. And so, and fortunately, they are organizations that are sustainable, that would make good tenants for the city. So we're close to having some proposals before the council on that.
You're putting the roof on the Fresno Art Museum, that's deteriorated. Shouldn't that museum move into the old Met building, and maybe that facility where the current art museum, wouldn't that make a good charter school? Because I know some of the charter schools have, because of the elevator problems or something at the Met, there's disability issues and other kinds of restrictions. Doesn't it make sense to have the art museum downtown in the cultural arts district?
Well, to some extent, they're a private nonprofit and they can do what they want to do. And I've heard some recent discussions about the direction they're headed that are all very positive and would involve some other local institutions supporting their efforts. So, to some extent, you can only go so far to make people do what you want them to do.
But doesn't it make sense, though? I mean,
it could, and frankly, if it wasn't for the fact that we had some other very good, very viable tenants looking at the Met building, I think certainly we'd be in discussions with the art museum. But the reality is, many of our nonprofits, and particularly our museums, are hurting financially. Right. So I'm not sure that organization could absorb a move. Any type of tenant improvements or changes that they would need to, I mean, many of our cultural arts organizations are struggling. They need to stabilize. They need to get through the next couple of years. And frankly, the message right now is just to hang on and get through this bad economy.
I want to ask a quick question. We've only got about 10 or 15 seconds. On the high-speed maintenance, rail maintenance facility, where are we on that project?
Submitted the proposal. The county is the lead agency. They did a great job of pulling the proposal together with the city's full support and cooperation. It's going to be about an 18-month process, and all along the way, hopefully Fresno stays in and ultimately secures the site. I think it's looking very good, but we've got a long road ahead of us.
You know, the use
Actually, we're running up against another deadline. We'll get that in the next segment. Sorry, Jim. When we come back, we'll talk about how to improve our local transportation system that might tie in and enhance the quality of life in Fresno. That conversation when we return. This is the Maddy Report.